thought you'd always be mine. Hi everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, and we can attribute that to our boy Justin Bieber last night at Bieberchella. I don't know if you guys watched it, but it really got me in my feels, took me back to the YouTube days, and I thought, what better time than start than right now.
Yours, you're a glass of your own and move, little cutie, when you talk to me, it's where the whole world stops. You're my sweetheart, that's your mind.
These are tips and tricks for a bachelorette party from a 2026 bride who's also a wedding planner. I am actually going to print all of my Polaroids right now from my bachelorette party and put them in this fun little book one of my maids of honor got me. There's still a lot of things that I haven't unpacked or fully done since we got back from the bachelorette trip. And just for context, my bachelorette party was the beginning of February, so it's been almost 2 months. I think that I've been procrastinating because I just didn't want it to be over. My Polaroid printer is actually charging right now, so I'm gonna do a little welcome, get to know me. I am the owner of the Wedding Planner Events. I am a 2026 bride, fiance. I have 2 cute puppies, Max and Henry. I love them dearly. I've been in, I think, 9 or 10 weddings, which is actually kind of what prompted me to open my own wedding planning business. I love weddings. I love the industry. I love the trends. I love helping people on a day that's really, really important to them. And yeah, it's really interesting to see the different perspectives between being a friend in a wedding and then being a wedding planner and then also now being a 2026 bride. So I think each one of those experiences gives me a little bit of a different perspective on weddings. And so starting this new series, I think will be really fun to talk about just wedding planning from all 3 perspectives. I think I'm going to do a few different series on my YouTube channel. So this first one is going to be tips and tricks for planning bachelorette parties. The other one is going to be come plan my wedding with me. I think I'm gonna start doing maybe one that's products that I can't live without or things that I think are a necessity as a wedding planner or a 2026 bride. There was something else I wanted to do. Oh, and then just vlogging, come with me videos as I do some of my travels this year, just wedding planning, kind of behind the scenes, just typical kind of vlog stuff. I wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys about some of my goals as a wedding planner. And the first one is starting this YouTube channel. This is completely out of my comfort zone. And I just love YouTube though. I love the creators on YouTube. I love watching YouTube. And I actually, in prepping for this, went back and watched some of my favorite YouTubers' very first YouTube videos, and that was very enlightening because they weren't good. And I mean that in the best way, to say that I use it as encouragement, I guess, right? I think that all of the best YouTubers, the thing that they have all done, whether it was good or bad, was just show up and showed up as themselves authentically. And so that's what I'm going to try to do here, and try to not think about the fact that this is kind of awkward. Something you should know about me is that my toxic trait is that I believe that everyone can do anything that they set their mind to. There is this quote that goes something like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's kind of how I've navigated the last 30 years of my life. And so it is with that false confidence that I am not only starting this YouTube channel, but bringing my wedding planner goals to the table to share with the rest of the world. Sharing those goals is actually the most vulnerable part of this because, like I said, I am the type of person who is a dreamer. I constantly believe that that I'm going to achieve these lofty goals, and I don't know how or when that's going to happen, but I constantly think about these things in my head, and I very rarely say them out loud, because if you heard them, you would probably think that it's crazy, and they are. But I am going to share that with you, and then hopefully, as I start to accomplish those goals and develop as a business owner and a person, I can like share that journey with you, and you can come along with me. And that's one of the things that I've enjoyed doing as a spectator on YouTube, so hopefully I can give that back to you. This part's hard because I'm trying to figure out what goals to share with you and what to keep close to the chest. So this is what you get. The first is that I want to be able to travel across the world to do weddings and events. So I would like to expand my wedding planning beyond the United States. I'm already starting to do stuff, like within the United States, various places, but I would love to be able to travel internationally and create magic across the world. I think that's so amazing. It would be so cool. The other thing is that I have an eye for creative vision. I love all things creative, and that's actually my favorite part of wedding planning, is when people do full planning and just kind of like hand over the reins and let me be the visionary. I think that that vision expands beyond weddings and events the way you think of a wedding planner, right? I have a creative vision for, photo shoot concepts. I think of like set designers, like the way Taylor Swift operates on the Fate of Ophelia music scene, like that creative just vision. I love that. I was watching Sabrina Carpenter at Coachella, and just that whole production I love. Like the creative vision that goes into creating something like that is something I love. And that kind of goes into my third goal, which is kind of creating my own brand beyond the wedding planner events. That is, kind of myself or the wedding planner, expanding that at some point where it's like, I'm known for being able to be a creative and like creating my own brand where myself and my team are able to be the ones helping create some of the magic that everybody else gets to experience, right? So not necessarily being one of the brand influencers on your Coachella trip, right? Or being one of the, I want to be the person that creates those experiences for those people, right? So it's like, I think obviously it would be amazing to go on brand trips, right? But I would much rather be interested in helping Tarte build their creative vision for how they're going to handle their brand trip versus being there and experiencing it, if that makes sense. So I, lofty goal, but like envision myself being able to help people create just like these really cool things at some point in my life. And I don't know when I'm going to do that. I'm also a lawyer in my free time, and that's just like a thought that crosses my head. Am I going to do it? Okay, and now the fun part, I'm going to get into the reason that this video was created and everybody's here is to talk about my bachelorette party. And I'm going to talk about on these videos things that I'm glad I did, things I wish I did differently, and then some tips and tricks to help you so you don't make the same mistakes I did. I'm going to go check and see if my Polaroid printer is ready. All of my Polaroids printed out. So fun. And let's get into it. So my first piece of advice is to do what you want. Okay, so I know there's a lot of stuff online that is just like bachelorette parties have gotten out of hand. Why are we doing a whole weekend in Cabo? Why are we, whatever. And to an extent, that's fair. It's a fair take. But I do think the reality of bachelorette parties is that they have gotten out of hand. And they've gotten out of hand because that's what girlies want to do. Everyone enjoys that. Everyone wants to do that. And so that's what people are doing. So I would say just like don't feel guilt about what you want in theory, right? You're only going to do this once. So go into it with the mindset of that, right? Like I only get to have one bachelorette party. What is my dream? And your friends will help you make that your reality. I think my other piece of advice goes along with that, which is to not have unrealistic expectations of people, right? So even though this is your day, or part of your day, part of your wedding season, not everybody is going to be able to prioritize your wedding the way you are. Some people can't take the time off. Some people don't have the money. Some people have to leave their families behind to be able to do this. So I think just being able to give people grace, for those people who can't make it, or, just having realistic expectations of your friends is another piece of advice, because I don't want you to get your heart broken. And I think that sometimes people let us down. And that didn't happen to me, but I shouldn't say that. I was sad. There were some people that didn't get to make it. And so I was sad about that, but nobody let me down, because I had realistic expectations of everyone. Something that my third piece of advice, I guess, if you will, is to get a photographer. It's a little crazy. If you can like splurge, or if you have a friend even who's the content creator of the group, just make sure that you're doing the things necessary to get photos, right? So it's like, even if you're giving people disposable cameras, if you have a friend that has a Polaroid camera, whatever, just take the photos. If you can get a photographer, it sounds so extra, but do it, because my friends and I think are all pretty good at taking pictures, but there was one whole day that we didn't get photos. Just gone, right? And you don't ever get to relive that moment. So for me, that's like that also goes into the category of like things I wish I would have done differently, or things I regret about my bachelorette party, is that. Okay, so I think that's all for the tips and tricks. I'm going to talk about the things that I'm really happy that I did, and then the things I wish I would have done differently. So one of the things that I'm really happy I did, and this goes along with doing what you want, it's your day, is invited everyone that I wanted to invite. So I'm having a non-traditional bridal party, which means I'm not really having a bridal party, because our wedding is a little bit smaller and I do have a lot of really close friends, and it was going to be hard to delineate who would be in the wedding and who wouldn't. And if I had truly everybody that I wanted in the wedding, it would be a third of my wedding. So that just wasn't going to happen. But because of that, I had a really large bachelorette party, and I'm really glad I did. It was a lot more logistics and a lot more needing to be flexible. But I'm really glad that I just invited everybody and then let those who could come. And I really truly was surrounded by so much just like love on that day, and it was so special to me, or that weekend. Something else that I'm really glad we did was what I think was practical gifts, right? I think a lot of time at bachelorette parties, people are spending a lot of money to get there, and then you're asking them to also pay for a bachelorette t-shirt that they may or may not use again, right? And they're putting in an extra $25 towards that or whatever. Again, if that's your thing, do it. Don't let me stop you. For me, that wasn't really it. We did do like sweatshirts, like zip ups, but those were things that myself and one of my maids of honor paid for. So it was like a practical gift. My mom also wanted to help out one of the days we went to Chicago, something I really wanted to do. And so she gave a practical gift of helping pay for like a portion of those tickets. And I'm really glad that's something that we did because Chicago was my favorite part of the weekend. So that was amazing. Along with that, something I did that I liked, and this one is kind of twofold. It's one of the things I'm glad I did, but then with it came like one of the worst parts about my bachelorette, or something I wish I would have changed. So my bachelorette party was in New York City, and New York City can sometimes be expensive, right? And we were staying for a weekend, and everyone was having to buy hotels, and I also wanted to go to Chicago. So something I tried to be cognizant of, which is one of the things that I'm happy I did, was try to be cognizant of finances for everybody. So like I said, like practical gifts that other people didn't have to pitch in for, and then my mom helping with tickets. And then I tried to choose an off season of New York so that plane tickets and hotels would be cheaper. And I'm glad I did that because that saved us money on flights and hotels. Because of that is also something that I don't know that I regret, but like one of the worst parts of the trip was because it was the off season. That meant it was February in New York. And anybody who watched the news this year knows that New York had record-breaking winter storms. So it was very, very cold, very, very snowy. If we would have chose a different time of year, we would have had better weather. We could have walked around more. So it's kind of a give and take. Glad that we, tried to like be cognizant of money because you're asking someone to go on a weekend trip, but then I also kind of regret that it was so cold and snowy for so much of it. So that one was hard. Things I wish I would have done differently. We just talked about cold, snowy New York, not taking enough photos. That's something I just regret so much. Like there's so many moments I wish I had documented that I don't. And then the other one is not sharing backup plans. So this may or may not be you. I'm type C. I did a lot of planning for my bachelorette, and there were a couple of things that I was not worried about because I had a backup plan for. One of those things was some of the like bars and clubs that we went to, but I didn't share that with any of my friends. And then that night we went out and ended up leaving my phone at the hotel. So we didn't have any of those plans anywhere. No one had talked about it. No one knew like what bars we could go to. And we ended up making it work. It was so much fun. It was amazing. Like we were flexible, plans shifted, but I do wish that because I had undergone so much planning on the front end and I did have so many backup plans and so many ideas that I would have just shared that with somebody else, because that would have gotten rid of some of the hiccups because there were backup plans, but in the moment they didn't happen because I didn't share that with anybody. So anyways, those are my tips and tricks for this episode. Thank you so much for staying around this long. If you have, I love you. See you guys next time.